Hey, what is going on, guys? This is CodedSteele, and Merry Christmas to all of you guys who celebrate it. As you can see, it is December 25th. So, a couple of things I wanted to bring up to you guys, thank you guys for, more or less. As you guys can see here, I have 106 subscribers. Thank you to everybody who has subscribed to my channel. I really never thought it would get as big as it did. 100 subscribers is pretty big for someone who's just starting out, and on top of that, I started doing YouTube tutorials probably a lot later than some of the other people who do tutorials on YouTube. So thanks a lot to all of you guys who have given me support and asked me about doing certain videos and gave me input as to what I could do better, or even gave me input as to what other tutorials I could do for you guys. Couple of things here besides that, and real quick, yeah, thanks again for all of that. Couple of things though, real quick, before we actually get into what today's app is going to be. I've started a store on Tindy, which, if you guys are not familiar with Tindy, it's a website where you can sell little things that you make. Well, right now I only have two things available in my store. I have the serial keyboard and this AppMega 328p with an Arduino bootloader. So I had read around on a lot of forums. People were requesting AppMega 328s with Arduino bootloader, so I put that on there because a lot of times it's hard for people to get bootloaders on surface mount chips. But that's all that is. This thing is actually a pretty cool little thing that I made. All it is it will take serial commands and output them on these two pins up here that are on the TX pin right here. So if you hook this up to a serial LCD or something like that, it would output characters and stuff like that to the LCD, or even over a terminal emulator on your computer. I did this because it can be used as like a troubleshooting tool for somebody who uses the UART port on a microcontroller. Maybe they don't want to hook it up to their computer. This is a much easier solution to use this keyboard and just send characters out over the serial port. So if you guys are interested in buying that, shoot me a message on my YouTube page or order it here. And yeah, you guys can get it. I even have the bulk discounts and stuff. If you have any questions on the Tindy stuff when you create an account or whatever else, you can contact me and you can ask me about possible, bulking things together, making things a little cheaper. If I can maybe even make things a little cheaper if you bought a whole bunch of these or something like that. I'm not gonna, obviously bash anybody for any questions they ask about trying to make something cheaper. I understand everybody's got a budget, but I will see what I can do for you guys if you're interested in buying a lot of these. But anyways, that's kind of the rough price that I put up for this moment. Now that all of that stuff's out of the way, let's get back into what the actual scope of my videos are supposed to be here, the App Inventor tutorials. So I had gotten a request, actually I think it's probably been almost a month ago now, and I feel really bad. I responded to this person and I told him, yeah, I'll do a video on that, okay, and then I really seriously put it off for quite a while, and I feel so bad about doing that. But I did get it done. This is the, I know it says multiple logins up here, but it's not multiple logins. This is not a repeat of something I've already done. This is actually a profile page app. Somebody had asked about how can I make it to where 30 people could log into an app, but all of them have their own profile pages and then their own settings that are saved within an app or something to that respect. Well, I actually started on this probably about a week ago, and I had a few hang-ups on actually trying to figure out how to make this work, and I finally got some code actually working the way it's supposed to work now, so I'm like ecstatic about it. Because I was thinking for a while there, I kept getting hung up, and I didn't know if I was going to be able to figure this out. But I did get it, so we're all good. Anyways, then, without further ado, then let's just kind of jump into what you got to do to make this stuff happen. So what I did here, if you guys have the multiple logins app created, which you might already have it created from a previous tutorial, there's just going to be some changes to it. First of all, the registration screen is going to remain pretty much the same. I didn't really make any changes to the registration screen, and I think if we go into the blocks logic, this should be exactly what you guys have. If it is not, and you guys are trying to follow along with this, I'm going to recommend that you make this change right now. and go ahead and make that happen there. So with this, then obviously once you have that built up, then you're pretty much ready to go on to back to the main screen, because now that we have the registry, or sorry, back to screen 1. Screen 1 has a lot of stuff going on in it, so I'm going to have to really seriously explain this one. There were so many changes made to this, and as you guys can see, I would have loved to have programmed this from as I was going along, but it would have taken me forever to do it, and I don't even know if I would have remembered every single thing. So that is why I said, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to create an app. See, and there's even a lot going on this screen. I was just going to create it and then explain to you guys how it worked. So anyways, registration screen's pretty straightforward. We need to go back to screen 1 here and actually begin our stuff here. So first of all, what we do, don't bother with any of this stuff up here right now. We'll talk about this down here. This should be nothing new. We have the user and the pass variables, which are declared as null. They have nothing stored in them. Okay, this stuff down here is where stuff is going to get a little new here. Before, we always had this one-click login, blah, blah, blah stuff going on. All right, so that's nothing new. We always had that where we're reading what's in the text box into the user, or the user text box in, and when the pass text box, we're storing that in. Here's the deal. In order to make this login screen happen, I had to do some very, very unique stuff. I had to link the username, and first of all, for a multiple login thing, I had to make it to where the username and the password are linked, and also they're linked, and then they're unique to each person. So the password and the username, or the password for this user is that, and I have to make sure that they're linked. So only if that username and that password are typed in that match will it let you log in. And so how did I do all of that stuff? Well, first of all, as you can see, I used this join block down here. So what this is right here, the reason I have this text box 1 here, and then I flip these two to create a unique storage, or a unique string for the username and the password for each person. And then I also added in user and pass. The reason for this user and pass here is to make it to where that if I remove that user and pass, it would make it to where the username and the password are interchangeable. So I could put the password in the username block and the username in the password block, and then somebody would be able to log in. We don't want that to happen. We want it to be username has to go in the username block, password has to go in the password block. Otherwise, the app just will simply not work. So that is why this part here is added in. These two right here and these two right here are to make the password and username unique to the person that is logging in. So if a person creates a password and a username, we want to make it to where only that user can use that password, or only that other user cannot use another user's username and use their own password, if that makes sense. I really explained that very terribly. But I guess the easiest way to explain this to you guys would be if you take, this should hopefully make complete sense to you right here. If you take this out of the app and try building it and just see what happens, and you'll kind of you'll understand exactly what I'm talking about. Without this, somebody can have a username, but they could enter in another user's password and still possibly be able to log into the app based on which one of these tags you remove. So this is added to make it to where username and password are linked, and only that username and that password together can log somebody into that person's page. So that is the reasoning behind this. This is a very powerful block here, a block of code here that actually makes it to where only that specific user who enters that username and that password can get into their account. And if you do not enter in that stuff exactly, you absolutely cannot get into the page no matter what. So that is why this is entered in like as it is. So with all of that messy stuff out of the way, as you can see here, if the username and the password is entered correctly, what do we want to do? We want to go to the main screen. The main screen is that screen I was showing you guys. I don't know if I showed you the designer before. This is the main screen. I think I did not show you this. I think I showed you this and this. Yeah, so this is the main screen right here. Very simple, guys. All I did, added in profile headline, made it bold. You guys can check. I'm just going to click through this so you guys can check out the stats, the settings on the side over here, and if you want to try to mirror this exactly. That's all I did there. That's a label, and that's a alignment. That's a label with boldness and all the different font settings. That's whatever. So as you guys can see, these are all the same. Their font size is 22, and their text color is black, and they're bolded. I just have it font bolded, and then I put them inside of some kind of arrangement. I don't know why I have this one in an arrangement and the other one's not. I just whatever. It's kind of what I did. You can remove that arrangement if you want to. No big deal. And then hobbies, and then the edit button down here. So it's a very simple page. There's really nothing going on as far as like complicated stuff for this this page. It's pretty much straightforward. But this is the main screen. So as you guys can see, like I said, in my screen one, whenever we had the blocks logic going, that's where it goes, is to that main screen. First of all, if we look at this big long start value thing that I have declared down here, all this is doing is reading in the tags from the database for the profile headline, the BD, which is what the heck, background information, or I don't remember what not registration, main screen. What's BD? Birth date, birth date, job, skills, hobbies. It's a lot easier if I just look at it there. All right, so but that's what that is. So profile headline, birth date, job, skills, hobbies, whatever. It reads in the value that the user stored, and then it passes that information to the next page. That's all that's doing. So where are these values coming from is what you guys are probably asking at this point. So we actually need to take a look at that. Where these values are coming from is from this block line of code up here. So let's take a look at this real quick. Registration screen, this should be nothing new. This information is coming from the registration screen. This is how the username and the password are created. Actually, this is new because I did have to make changes to this. So you guys might need to copy this stuff. Basically, what you can get out of this is you guys know how lists work. This is the list that I'm getting. I created this list in the registration screen. As you guys can see here, that list is created right here. So when I go back to the screen one, all I'm doing is I'm reading the list and I'm saying, hey, you know, this part, this part, this. And then I'm just joining them together to create a tag which is stored under that specific username, or that specific tag information, which is the what was it again? Well, I created a tag on this screen. Yeah, so it's whatever was created on, it's being stored under whatever the username is for that specific person. And wow, I'm going all over the place except for where I need to go. Okay, so and then it does the same thing for the password, creates the unique password thing, just like we needed to. So that's where this stuff, when we're reading that, we're reading the tags that are created from these two blocks of code up here. Username creation block, password creation block. So, all right, that's where that stuff comes from. And like I said, all this does is just makes it to where a unique username and unique password are created that are bonded to each other, and only that username and that password entered can get somebody into their login page. So that's what goes on there. We can see we have an else if going on here. This else if right here is if the app returns from the main screen, so which is the screen with the hobbies, profile headline, all that junk in there. So how do we do this stuff here? What goes on with this stuff? Because this is the most complicated part of the entire app right here. Actually, these two, this was pretty difficult too, to create this and make sure they were unique. This was the only way I could actually get it. The easiest way that I could think of to make it to where they're unique without having to do a bunch of database storage stuff. So that was why I did that this specific way. Anyways, this stuff down here is pretty complicated as well, but it all boils down to this. this statement only gets executed if you're returning from the main screen and the result retrieved from the main screen is a list. The reason why I have to check and see if this result is a list is because if you push the back button from the main screen, your app will automatically receive an error if this line of code is not here. And the reason why that happens is because this line of code, this block of code up here, will always get called when you're returning from the main screen. So in order to make it to where it only gets called if you're returning from the main screen and you actually have information, is to add this. So if you're returning from the main screen via the back button, there won't be anything, this won't be a list because there'll be no information, so this block of code will not execute and thus will not create an error in your app, crashing your app. So that's the easiest way you can think about this, is this has to be added in so your app does not crash. Try removing this. Like I said, a lot of the stuff you guys are just going to have to try making these modifications that I tell you to make to try to understand why I did things a specific way. So if I remove this, it will crash my app, and the app will not function at all. When you return from the main screen, it'll say error, something or another, and it will crash your app. So I added that in there to prevent app crashing. The other thing, we already know main screen. Okay, what is the other stuff we're doing here? Because there's a lot of it. A lot of this is all storage, as you can see. Call, stored value, blah, blah, blah. What I had to do here was I had to say, first of all, find out which user it is. That's what this is. This is the user. Whatever the username is, this is what that user is. So we take the username and we join it together with PH at the end of it. That's what's going to create our tag. So basically we're saying, say my username was Fred. I would create a tag called FredPH. And what that would mean is it was Fred's profile headline. That's the tag that I'm storing the profile headline under. And then I read whatever is in position 2, which would be the profile headline from the main screen. So if we go to the main screen, as you guys can see here, when I hit the button for editing, which is probably button 1, my guess would be, yeah, it is button 1. When I hit the button 1 for editing, I enter in whatever I want to enter in the text fields, and then when I hit the button again, it will save all of that information and return it back to the main screen with this right here. So it'll actually return. Whoa, what's this doing down here? Okay, it'll return all of this information back via this list to the main screen, or not to the main screen, to screen 1. To screen 1. I apologize. Screen 1. So it returns it back to screen 1. And then screen 1 will make all the necessary storage in the databases. Why am I returning to screen 1? The reason why I have to return to screen 1 is, as you can see, main screen does not have its own database. And the reason I don't do that, and I make screen 1 to where that one has the database information, is because you're going to find out if you create codes, the databases are not linked. They're all independent because each screen is treated as its own individual app. So because each screen is treated as its own individual app, if I create a tag under database 1 and I created another database on a different page, and I tried to find, if I tried to pull something that's stored in this database from using another database's call function, I will not retrieve that tag because it doesn't exist in that database. So you guys do need to understand that each screen is isolated, their databases are not linked, and because they are not linked, I have to go ahead and return and restore information back in the other databases. It's kind of a quirk of App Inventor that you just have to get around. There's just no way around it. Everything on a screen is independent from another screen, and the only way you can pass information from one screen to another screen is via these functions right here. These, you guys can see here, I have, this is the only way you can pass stuff, is by this. I say open another screen and then pass it a start value, and I passed it all of these start values. And then on the next screen, when I do that, I go back to the main screen, and then I can use the, say, get that start value and then do stuff with it. That's the only way you can pass information between screens. And then the other way you can, well, I'm sorry, that's one of the ways you can pass information between screens. The other way is to close the screen with this and return that information back to the screen that opened it, which in this case, screen 1 is the screen that is opening all other screens. It's the main screen of the app, even though it's not named main screen, it's screen 1. It's the primary screen, that's a better word for it, of the app that makes all of the changes and makes all of the ability to go to different pages. So, if I haven't completely confused you guys yet, and you're still with me, let's go back to screen 1. And this video is already starting to get a little long, so I'm probably going to finish what I'm talking about with this stuff, and then I'll create another video, or one more video to finish up the rest of this junk. So, what you've got to do here, like I was saying before, this does all of the reading for that. Actually, I was up here. My bad. This is where all of the stuff gets stored. So, I store the value for the profile headline when somebody edits the page. I store the value for the result, or the birth date, the jobs, skills, and hobbies. So, as you guys can see here, whenever on the main screen that this becomes a save button. Once you hit edit, you can edit the what's in the labels, and then once you hit the edit button again, the text of it will be changed to a save, which is what I do here, and it will save that information and return that information via this loop back to the main screen, stored in the database, and then once it's stored in the database, then we can actually do some more stuff with it. So I think that's where we're going to leave off for this video. In the next video, we'll finish this up. I will show you guys a demonstration of how the app actually works. And as always, if you guys have any questions, please like, comment, subscribe. And I will try to answer all of your guys' questions that I possibly can. If you guys don't understand this at this point, I'm sorry. I will try to. I guarantee you. Hopefully, by the end of the second video, this will make complete and total sense to you guys. So I gotta stop. I gotta stop saying a lot because I say all the time. So that's what I'm gonna work on in the next video, guys. So thanks for watching, guys, and I will see you guys in your next video.